asked for video ideas recently on Instagram, and I got this one several times. And if you're not following me over on the gram, you need to go do that. But I decided that since I'm also in the process of maybe purchasing our forever home soon, I don't want to get my hopes up, but like we're in the process of house hunting for our forever home, moving back to Austin, which is all very exciting. It's been in the plans for like the last 5 years, and the fact that it's actually like started is crazy to me. And in the last couple months, Madison and I have actually made a video talking about things that we wish we knew before we bought a house. So if that is of interest to you, definitely I'll link it up here. Go check it out. Talk to people in your life. Obviously, it's a huge decision, and one that I'm very excited and grateful and in honesty, privileged to be able to do, especially in this economy. It's just, don't get me started. So we're going to talk about some things you can do in your home today to make it a little bit more sustainable, which I'm very excited about. I have a few years of experience in now, so I feel quite qualified to talk about it. But one of the things that I wish I had done before we bought our last house is keep all of my money that we were like using for our down payment in a high yield cash account, especially with the rate of inflation. If you're not keeping your money in a high yield cash account, you're just losing money. Like, that's what's happening. And this portion of today's video is sponsored by Wealthfront, which is who I've been using to save for our down payment this go around, because I learned from my mistakes. And in reality, if we're talking about houses, we're talking about money. The amount of things that have come up that we have to put money into for this house, you need to have an account for that. And so I also use Wealthfront for this. So what is a high yield cash account, and why do I recommend Wealthfront? Most banks, what they do is they make money off of your money. They don't just hold your money because they're nice. I actually made a whole video about that. I'll also link it up here. What Wealthfront does is they don't keep all of that money for themselves. They give some back to us. And the reason I've used Wealthfront for years, and the reason I recommend them, is because their APY is 20 times higher than the national average. And their APY right now is 2%, which is nearly impossible to find. And since we are currently saving for our forever home, which will never not feel weird to say, I don't feel like I'm in that stage of my life, even though I am. But when we started to do that, I basically made a big transfer from my original like debit bank account over into my Wealthfront account. And the best part of that is I didn't have to wait days. Like, that money was in there instantly. Wealthfront's transfers so quick. And you can open one of these accounts with as little as $1, and they don't have hidden fees, things like that. No bank fees, no overdraft fees, none of that. And if you've ever wanted to invest with Wealthfront, you can move your money into their award-winning investment account in minutes. But let me tell you, my personal favorite part about Wealthfront, as someone who is neurodivergent, is within your account, they recently released this thing called categories. So you have one account, but have you ever tried to like save for multiple things and like, damn, I have to open an account and like keep all these things managed for like vacations, house, kids, those sort of things, and felt like I really don't want to have like 10 accounts to save for all of these things? Well, Wealthfront's categories allows you to have one account, but separate it out so you can see how much money is in each category. And it all still gets the same like APY. And I don't know about you, but I want to keep all of the money out of the big banks that I can, which is honestly the #1 tip for buying and having an eco-friendly home, is not to have all of that money withheld by giant corporations that are ruining the planet. So if you want to put your money into a Wealthfront savings account, I'm going to link it at the top of the description, and you can get yours open today, like I said, with as little as $1. Okay, let's talk about more ways to do sustainable home ownership. I will never forget that when we bought this home, we had a trip planned to Portland for Madison's work. She had to be there for a conference. And so we couldn't change it, but we had put an offer in on this house. It got accepted, and then we had to leave. And so I will never forget like getting an email that our option period was ended and all the terms were agreed upon while we were getting on a tram to go to Portland at the airport. And so while we were in Portland, there's a really famous bookstore there called Powell's. And I bought this book. Like, this book, I bought it like 3 years ago, and it was probably outdated, honestly, when I bought it. I don't know when it was published. Let's see. 2018. So a lot of things in here are probably outdated, but in general, there's a lot of really good tips in here. If you want to check this out, I'll link it below. But one of the statistics I read in here, which blew my mind, is this. If homes in the US cut their energy usage by 20%, it would reduce between 270 and 550 billion pounds of CO2 every year. One of the biggest ways to decrease the amount of like fossil fuels and energy used in your home is if you have the chance to replace appliances. So in today's day and age, like it's very common to find appliances to be electric instead of gas, but in most cases, this is the most sustainable thing to do, is to purchase your appliances to be electricity instead of natural gas. Things like your heater, things like your water heater, those sort of things. I didn't have to worry about this in this home, but in the north, I think it's more important to consider if your appliances are ran off of gas or electric, and electric is generally going to be better. And another huge energy suck in your home is actually your fridge. It consumes like, I wanna say like almost 1/5 of your home's energy, but if you think about it, it's like constantly refrigerated, right? And it's plugged in 24/7, so it kind of makes sense. But changing the temperature on your fridge can actually save a lot on your electricity bill, right? But that also means that you're saving energy and you're being better to the planet, and it's more sustainable, all those sort of things. So you can look at what in your fridge would work to turn it up to keep everything good and cool, but not overdone, so that you're not wasting energy that you don't need to be. If you're thinking about purchasing a home, or if you already have one, a great thing to do could be to do an energy audit of your house. So our city actually offers this for free. We could have someone come out, well, we already did, but you can have someone come out and audit your home. So they're gonna walk around your house and tell you the best things you can do to make your house more energy efficient, right? So they'll look at your thermostats, your light bulbs, your insulation, your windows, all those sort of things, drafts that are coming through doors, that sort of stuff, and really inspect your home to make it the most energy efficient that it can. What's great is that on top of these free programs, a lot of times they'll give you rebates to update those things to help you with the cost of it. But since it is something that I obviously have been considering for a long time, we learned a lot about energy efficiency in school, and my wife works for an energy efficiency consulting company, so I know a lot of these things, which is why the first thing we did when we move in was get a smart thermostat. I think smart thermostats make sense for like everybody who needs to use climate control at all, but especially in Texas, obviously our AC is our biggest cost. Like sometimes people don't even call their electricity bill their light bill or electricity, they say AC, because we know that's where the majority of our cost for our energy is coming from, and therefore where we could be more efficient and more sustainable with it. So a smart thermostat is great for many reasons. Number one, it can learn your habits, which is really helpful for regulating temperature. Number two, they have a motion sensor. So when you're gone, it knows and it brings it down to an eco temperature so that it can conserve energy during that time when you're not here. And in addition, you can enroll in several different programs. We are in one through our city. They call it Rush Hour, basically where the thermostat will recognize when energy usage is high in the city because they're able to use everyone's data. And so people who need their homes to be cooled, once they get home, they'll bring it down when it's not peak hour, if that makes sense. So the AC will start running around 3 to bring it down to a cool temperature so that when everyone gets home at 5 and turns on their AC, you're not using that same energy. Because a lot of times what happens is they have to kick on dirtier forms of energy to meet those energy demands. So the smart thermostat takes care of all of that for you, which is really, really great, obviously, for the planet. But then there's another program that Nest has themselves, which is actually pretty similar, but you can get rewards for it and all that sort of stuff. So the smart thermostats are incredible. I highly, highly recommend a smart thermostat if you don't already have one. I'll link the one that we use below if I can remember. Obviously, blinds and curtains are something that I have recently really started to think a lot more about. I didn't have like the proper blinds and curtains and things like that in this home until recently, and that's A, because I like the light and my plants needed it, but also B, it's very expensive. I do think the return on investment will take a few years, but I think it's essential if you want your home to be energy efficient and not hot, okay? Because it's hard for your AC in Texas here. It's hard for it to keep up when it's 100+ degrees outside. To keep it down to, we don't even keep it like cold in here. We keep it like 75, 76, but it's hard to do that when you don't have the proper like windows, blinds, all those sort of things. So think about getting blinds and curtains is my point. I recently learned about something called an energy efficient mortgage, and it's actually really interesting, especially for people who don't have the money to invest in it afterwards. But it is essentially where you can get, it's an added expense onto your mortgage, which obviously mortgage lending rates are much lower than a lot of other lending rates. And you can actually get an energy efficient mortgage, which means they will give you money to actually make your home more energy efficient after the fact, if that makes sense. So if you haven't purchased a house yet and you're looking to, and you want to make sure you're being the most energy efficient you can, look into an energy efficient mortgage, because if you are going to pay that amount off over time, it makes a lot more sense to roll it into your mortgage. And this can go towards things like solar panels, but as my wife always tells me, the energy efficient expert in this home, solar panels and renewables are actually the last step in energy efficiency. So there are a lot of other things you can do, like we've already talked about, making sure your windows are sealed. That's a big one. Making sure you're using the right light bulbs and windows and insulation. All those things are also energy efficiency. Those are like actual, like, I guess, I don't know what she calls them, but like hard swaps, I guess you could say. And then there are behavioral programs. These are things like turning off your lights, not using hot water, like the hot water heater when you don't need it, adjusting the temperature of your fridge. Those sort of things are behavioral changes to energy efficiency, which should all come first before solar. That's the way we've been taught in school. That's the way she uses her energy consulting like job. That's what they do. But all of those things I just mentioned, you can use the energy efficient mortgage to use that, right? To update your windows, to update your insulation, to make sure all of your windows and doors are sealed. All of those things, energy efficient mortgage can help with. So if you're looking to buy your first home and obviously you care about energy efficiency and sustainability, definitely look into one of those. And also, just side note here, if you are gonna buy a house soon, don't get your mortgage through a big bank, okay? The least we can do, the easiest thing we can do, is at least do it through a credit union. And in my experience over the years, my credit union has always given me the best rate on both of our homes. Like, we've been pre-approved for our new house. And then also for my car, great interest rates. Like, if you're taking out a loan and you have the ability to get it from a credit union, definitely do so, because you're not giving your money to all of those greedy, destructive banks, right? So. Okay, a water softener is not a small investment, okay? It is a pretty big upfront investment. I remember when I found out, like, we moved in here and there was a water softener in the garage, and we didn't think we needed it, so we weren't concerned if it was working or not. But when we moved in here, and I'll tell you why we realized we had to have one, and I realized how much it was going to cost that we were not expecting, I was like, terrified, but I would not change it for the world. And a lot of people, I think of water softeners because it's been talked about as almost a beauty product. Like, I've heard so many people talk about water softeners as better for your hair and all those sort of things, because they are. That's not why we got a water softener. It's not for aesthetic reasons. It's actually because our water hardness is like way above national average. It is, you can see it in the water, the minerals, which is not bad for human health. A lot of people think that that's bad for your health. It's not. Minerals are normal, natural, good for you. The reason it's bad to have minerals in your water like that is your home. So the reason that I say that a water softener can be a more sustainable investment for your home is it can help make your piping last longer, all of your water fixtures, your toilets, your faucets, all those sort of things, but your appliances that use water as well. So your water heater is, we had to get the water heater replaced when we moved in here, because in the bottom of it, it was just completely calcified, just minerals galore, because they weren't using a water softener in here before. And what that meant is that when the water heater kicked on, you could literally hear rocks bouncing around in the water heater. We had several leaky faucets when we moved in here because the previous owners were irresponsible and not using a water softener. So it can help preserve the life of so many things in your home if you do have something like hard water where you live. But the most eco-friendly thing to use is the thing we already have, right? So we want to keep our washers, our water fixtures, our water heaters working for as long as possible, because that's the most sustainable thing to do. Okay, so just like there's an energy efficient mortgage, there's also so many financial incentives out there if you look for them. EnergyStar.gov is one to definitely start at. There's another really good one, DesireUSA.org. They have a bunch of different, basically what you can do is sort by where you live and then see what sort of rebates, grants, returns, all those sort of stuff are on there for updating your home. This can have to do with getting more energy efficient appliances. I've seen rebates for window replacements, attic insulation, those sort of things. So you can check those two websites, and you can also talk to your energy provider. They should be able to give you like what systems or what rebates or whatever, and financial incentives, that is the word. Ask your energy provider for financial incentives for energy efficiency. Also, Regular maintenance is super important. If you've bought a house or if you're about to buy a house, let me give you this heads up. If you're buying an old house that is 30, 40, 50 years old, it's gonna come back with a crazy inspection. They're gonna give you a list of all the things wrong with your home. And I'm gonna tell you right now, don't be intimidated, because a lot of those things are just regular maintenance that the previous owner wasn't doing and they should have. So one of the things that can really, really help, cleaning your fridge coils regularly. I'm really glad that our fridge has a little cubby, but it has wheels on the bottom, so you just pull it out, sweep it off. That can help your fridge run more efficiently, like tenfold. It makes a really big difference when you keep your fridge coils clean. Same thing with your AC filter. I've talked about this a few times on this channel, but we have reusable air filters. I bought them at a hardware store a long time ago, but since then I have not seen them there. You can get them on Amazon. I'm gonna link them below. But we have 2 for each. So if you have one like air intake, make sure you have 2, because you're gonna wanna clean it off, let it dry completely before you replace it, so you can put the other one in there while you're waiting for the other one to get clean and be dry. But obviously a reusable filter is better for the planet. Reusing something is always going to be better than just throwing something out. So that's just a little piece of like regular maintenance that could be really helpful. And cleaning your AC condenser outside. So this is literally like taking a hose on like max power mode and spraying that bitch down. It also makes a huge difference in your energy efficiency of your AC system. And rechargeable batteries. So I don't know how often you use batteries in your home. I don't know. But regular maintenance would be replacing the batteries and recharging them as needed. So our water system runs off of batteries. If you have any remotes in your home, they probably run off of batteries. Those sort of things are regular maintenance, regular recharging of your batteries, and they're better for the planet, obviously. I do hope you learned something new in this video, whether you're about to become a homeowner or you already own a house and maybe you learned some new things. Let me know in the comments if you want another part to this, because like I said, we're in the process of hopefully finding our forever home, so home content could be a big deal for me soon. And don't forget to check out today's sponsor, Wealthfront. Seriously, it doesn't matter. For your emergency fund, for saving for a vacation, for saving for a house, it doesn't matter. You need a high yield cash account, and Wealthfront is definitely the one to go with. I'm gonna leave that link at the top of the description. And remember, until next time, you cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that you can do. Bye guys.